In 3 it says throughout history, political revolutions had many causes. These revolutions affected society and led to many changes. Changes may or may not have resolved the problem and caused the revolution. So it says choose a political revolution and explain the causes of the revolution, and then describe the effects of this revolution that it had on society, and evaluate whether the changes that resulted resolved the problems. So I would recommend, if you get a question on political revolutions and it asks you to do this, that you should cover the French Revolution as your example. Shut it for a second. The French Revolution took place. I'm just going to shut this off now. Took place in 1789, and a revolution means a change, a fast change. In this instance, it's a political revolution, and it did get violent. So, if we're dealing with the French Revolution and we're talking about causes, the political cause of the French Revolution was France had an absolute monarchy. Which means that people had no say in the government of France. The king, back then, who was Louis XVI, was making all of the decisions. So the people wanted some say in their government. Social cause. What problem was there in society? There was a class system. Class system was divided up into 3 parts: a first estate, second estate, third estate. The top 2 estates, privileged, special treatment. The third estate, no privilege. That brings us into an economic cause for the French Revolution. So this was the unfair economic aspect. The third estate, which was not the 2 privileged estates, were the clergy and the nobility. Third estate, if you weren't in the clergy, you were in the nobility, you were in the third estate. But most of the people in the third estate were farmers, but back then we used the term in Europe, rather than calling them farmers, we called them, you remember the P word? Peasants, very good, okay. So the peasants picked up the burden of taxation. So those are the background causes. So, these were the problems, the background causes. An absolute monarchy, a class system where certain groups were privileged, and a tax system that hit the third estate. In 1789, the French government was bankrupt. So it needed money. In order to get money, they needed an increase in tax. And the French government, the absolute monarchy, they didn't want the first estate and the second estate to have to pay it. They wanted these new taxes to come from the third estate, which was already paying the burden of taxation. Okay? So that's the idea. That's the background causes. Problems politically, socially, and economically. France is bankrupt. When the French government demands that the third estate pay the taxes, the third estate rebels. And we have the events that are known as the French Revolution. The revolution involves wanting to do something about the government, wanting to do something about society, and wanting to do something about the economic unfair system. So the results, between just also something that you might see on the exam, these things happened prior to 1789, and they are sometimes referred to as, in French, the ancien regime, or the old regime. What does it mean? It means when France had this, this, and that, okay? So that's the old regime. The new regime is after the revolution, okay? When the changes take place, okay? So that's what the French Revolution was all about. So the changes that took place politically, what happened? The absolute monarchy gone. Replaced eventually by a limited monarchy. So a new kind of a government. In terms of society,